Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to look at the accounting equation. Now, for all of you, if you are unsure, our accounting equation is assets equals your owner's equity plus your liabilities. Spelling is shocking. Liabilities. There we go. Now, I'm going to work through activity 5 and activity 6 with you guys today, just to recap a couple of things regarding the accounting equation. Now, it's an equation similar to in maths. What is on one side of the equation, your assets needs to equal what is on your second half of the equation. So your assets needs to be equal to the sum of your owner's equity plus your liabilities. Now, if we look at activity 5, we start off with a small activity. Accounting is based on the double entry system. Double entry meaning for every debit, there is an equal credit. So in accounting, two accounts are involved. Therefore, one account must be debited and the other account must be credited. Now, if we look at this, the two accounts affected by given transaction are each other's contra account. Now I'm going to pencil in our AEO rule so we can advance this a little bit faster. We have our assets that increase on the debit side as well as our expenses, owner's equity because of capital, incomes increases on the credit side, and liabilities on the credit side. So I'll put in a little debit here and a little credit side here. Now, if we look at the following examples, it's trying to establish and explain to us how to work our two contra accounts. Now remember, if we talk about the term contra accounts, we are wanting to find out what two accounts are involved. They go hand in hand. This is what we look at. So in the example, if we receive a check for 10,000 Rand as a capital contribution, the two accounts would be capital, because that's why we're receiving the money. And if we are receiving money, we would look at our bank account. Now, if we progress that one step further, bank is an asset which increases on the debit side, so we would be debiting bank. If we look at capital, it affects owner's equity. Owner's equity increases on the credit side, so we would be crediting capital. Now, if we look back at our double entry principle, we would credit capital with 10,000 Rand and we would debit bank with 10,000 Rand. We have an equal debit and an equal credit. If we look at the next one, we have a transaction where we pay the weekly wages of 500 Rand. We are paying, so bank is involved. And what are we paying? We are paying wages. So those would be the two accounts involved. Bank, if we are paying money, bank would be decreasing, and wages is an expense, which would be increasing. If we were to break this down further, because bank is an asset that is decreasing, we would credit bank. And because wages is an expense that is increasing, we would debit wages. So this activity's focus is on getting and understanding your contra accounts. I've just progressed that a little bit to show what would happen in our accounting equation. What is debited and what is credited? Now, if we look at the next one, we buy a vehicle and pay by check. Now, if we look at what is being bought, if we are buying something, we are generally using our bank account, money from our bank. And what are we buying? We are buying a vehicle. So, vehicle, this check, it's an old transaction. Remember, we're using bank statements. Now, the two accounts involved are bank and vehicles. Sorry, let's just put an S there, vehicles. If we break it down, bank is an asset and we are buying, so it's decreasing. Vehicles is also an asset and we are purchasing a vehicle, so it is increasing. Bank is an asset. When decreasing, we credit it. And vehicles is an asset. When increasing, we debit it. All right. Now, if we look at activity 6, we just need to establish what two accounts are involved in the following transactions. So, if we receive 3,500 Rand for services rendered, we would have bank, and let's put in a small debit side and a credit side so we can get back into old habits here. We have bank, we're receiving money. I'll put in our AE oil rule again. Bank's an asset, increases on the debit side. Capital, incomes and liability on the credit side. So we're receiving money for services rendered. Bank is an asset that will be debited. It is increasing. Services rendered. If we have services rendered, guys, you should all remember that the account used for services rendered is current income, which is an income, and incomes increase on the credit side, so we would credit current income. We then we pay the annual trading license of 850 Rand. Now, if we are purchasing, we are paying, we use bank. Bank is an asset that decreases, so we credit bank. Trading license is an expense. Expenses increase on the debit side, so we would debit our trading license. If we receive money for the monthly rental, we have bank, we are receiving money, it is increasing, so we debit bank, and we have rent income. Incomes increase on the credit side. If we're receiving money, it is an income. If we purchase a computer, we have bank, which is an asset, and it is decreasing. Computers are equipment. All right, which is also an asset. So we would have a plus minus, and we would debit equipment. If we buy pens and receipt books, we are purchasing something. It is money out. Bank is an asset that is decreasing. And pens or receipt books, we would classify as an expense called stationery. If we are paying for repairs to the vehicle, we have bank, an asset that is decreasing, we are purchasing or paying for, and we are paying for repairs, which is an expense. Expenses increase on the debit side. Let me just write in debit and credit here. Sorry, guys. Finally, the owner withdraws 500 Rand for his personal use. Remember, when the owner takes out money or when we have drawings, it decreases the business's bank account. And the reason why we have drawings or we debit drawings is because, yes, Drawings has a negative effect on owner's equity, but we would need to debit it when it does increase or when it takes place. So that is activity 5 and 6. I've worked through this with you guys. Please refer back to this video. Go through your AE rule as it's incredibly important going forward. And we will see you next time. Not next time, last little bit for today. When we look at the accounting equation, like I told you, it is A equals OE plus L. Now, if we think about our accounting equation, we have our assets plus our owner's equity as well as our liabilities. So these are the three elements of our accounting equation. Now, each transaction can only fall under one of the elements. Each account, can only fall under one of the elements. We spoke about our 8 assets, our 3 non-current and 5 current. We spoke about owner's equity containing of capital and drawings. Remember, incomes and expenses also have an effect on owner's equity. And then we have our liabilities. So this might be a mortgage loan, creditors control, anything that we owe, right? Now, an account can only therefore be either an asset, owner's equity, or a liability account. The equation must always balance and can be written in one of the following 3 ways. Now, the first way that I've shown you, which is the most common way, is that your assets must equal your owner's equity plus liabilities. However, because it is an equation, we can rewrite this. So, the second way to display this would be owner's equity equals your assets plus minus your liabilities. And finally, the third way is your liabilities equals your assets minus your owner's equity. So it is important to note that the equation can be written in 3 different ways. Remember, because it's an equation, both sides need to be equal. So on either side, the statement needs to be true. All right? If the statement is not true, a mistake has been made somewhere. Remember, in accounting, we use the principle of the accounting equation, and both sides need to balance because every single account is either an asset, owner's equity, or liability account. I will stop there for today, guys. It's some accounting equation revision. We have gone through activity 5 and gone through activity 6. If you've completed these exercises on your own, please would you mark and correct where necessary. Thank you.